Hello everyone. So today I'll be showing you how to make a eggplant curry or korma. So here I have 3 eggplants. I have 5 chilies. I'm gonna use about 4 cloves of garlic and this amount of ginger, so proportionate to the garlic. And also here I have 3 tomatoes and 2 onions. It doesn't matter, you could use purple onions only or you could use yellow onions only. I'm just mixing it because I like the flavor of the red onion. It's a bit more like spicier, let's say, than the yellow one. So I'm just gonna mix those two, and I want it to be a bit saucy, so I'm using 3 tomatoes. You guys could use 2 tomatoes or you could use more. I just think for 3 eggplants, 3 tomatoes and 2 onions will be good. And of course, as with all my cooking, I say to everyone, you have to do salt and pepper to your taste. I'm not going to be using any black pepper. The only peppers I'm using is these fresh chilies, so 5 of them, and then I'll just be using salt throughout, depending on how much I need. So these are the main ingredients for like a classic Afghan korma, which is korme bonjoni siyah, like eggplant. And I'll also show you guys how to make the famous Afghan yogurt sauce that goes with most vegetarian kormas or curries. So stay tuned for that throughout the cooking. It's very simple. It's just yogurt with half a tablespoon of salt and some dried mint leaves that will give it that fresh smell and that little like soury taste. So that's why don't put too much salt in your curry. It's okay because that sauce will compensate for that. So guys, at this point I've gone ahead and peeled my eggplants. Make sure to try to keep as much of the skin as possible on, and I've just gone ahead and diced it just so, because I'm going to go ahead, get these and fry them in just a bit of oil. Just saute them a little, and that will help to cook the eggplants thoroughly, take out some of that bitterness from the eggplants and make our cooking time faster. So this is what you're gonna do: peel and chop all of your 3 eggplants, and then we're gonna go ahead and just saute it with a little bit of oil. So here we go, guys. This is my eggplants, all 3 of them. I have them chopped, like diced, I guess, into these kind of square rectangular shape. And here I have the heat on 3. I just have just a little bit of oil, if you can see, about maybe a table to a table and a half of oil. And then what I'm gonna do is put each side for about a minute to a minute and a half, like depending if it's this thin, then maybe a minute on each side, and if it's thicker, then maybe a minute and a half, and then we're gonna switch it over. And that's pretty much it for the sauteing. And then once the 2 sides are done, we're gonna go ahead and put more until we're done this whole bunch, and then we're gonna use this pot to go ahead, this pan to go ahead and start cooking the base for our sauce, which is the onions, right? And it's pretty simple, guys, so don't feel intimidated. You can make this under 30 minutes if you have everything cooking simultaneously at the same time and chopping. So it's a very easy dish to make, and it could be done quite fastly for those who are on a time constraint. And I consider this to be healthier than other curries just because we're not using as much oil, and we are trying to use the same oil that will be left in the pot to go ahead and get our onions caramelizing. And because eggplants absorbs the oil that it's frying in right now or sauteing in right now, we're not going to put too much oil, because later on when we add the eggplant to the curry, some of those oils are going to come out, so we're really saving on oil through that. So guys, I've gone ahead and put the heat up to 3 just because I feel like it's sauteing a little too slowly. And remember, the purpose for us sauteing the eggplant is not to cook it all the way through. We just want it to be soft enough so that once we add it to the sauce and let it simmer with the sauce, it will cook within 10 to 5 minutes. And so I've gone ahead, switched the sides, and put up the heat to 3 just so they could start sauteing a bit faster, because I do not want them to be cooked all the way through. I want them to cook with the sauce. So guys, when you see that they are this color, then you know that they are ready to be taken out and for our next batch to be put in. You could have it a little lighter than this, but I like it this caramelized. So it really depends on your preference of how charred or barbecued you like it to look. And so guys, I'm going to go ahead and share another trick with you. So what I have done is I've taken the eggplants that I just have been frying and I've put them on the other eggplants that are raw. So what this is going to do is transfer some of the oil from these eggplants to these eggplants that are not cooked yet. So that when I want to put these raw eggplants in the pan, I do not have to put too much oil. So that's again going to save us on our cooking oil. So once they're fried from the pan, take it out, and if you have any raw eggplants left, put the cooked ones on top of the raw ones so that the oil gets absorbed by these raw eggplants, and that way you're saving on cooking oil, which means healthier and less calories. So guys, the last batch of my eggplants are almost done, and I have all the ingredients ready here to show you. So here's my onions, and the way I dice them is just 2 halves from the middle and just chop chop chop. And I have done the similar thing to the tomatoes, because like this they're chopped very finely, which means that they're gonna cook evenly and get cooked really fast, and the juices will come out faster because that's what we want. And here I have my chili, ginger, garlic, and my salt. I need table salt. So right now my eggplant is actually done, so I'm gonna go ahead and take it out, and then I'm gonna add a bit of oil and then go ahead and add my onions. And this amount that we're making should serve about 3 to 4 people. I would say 3 more comfortably, just because of the serving size, because with these kind of sauces usually people prefer to have more. And so what I like to do when I'm cooking is, so I've just gone ahead and put 2 tablespoons with this big spoon of oil, which is I think about 6 small spoons. And so like I was saying, what I like to do with my cooking is that I like to add the salt first. So I would say this is about a small tablespoon of salt, but keep in mind that we're gonna also be adding some salt to the yogurt sauce, so we don't want it to be too salty. And then I like to go ahead and add my spices, and you will hear that sizzling, and that's what we want, because these spices cooking in the oil will bring out the aroma of everything, which will make your oil very tasty, which will in turn make your sauce, your base sauce, very tasty, because these oils, like the oil frying, these seasonings, bring out the natural flavoring from these herbs and chili, and it smells amazing. When you do it, you will know what I'm talking about, because the taste of your curry will change completely once you put the spices before you put the onions in. So here we go guys, my onion is sauteing really nicely. So at this point what I'm going to do is, I want the water from the onion to come out faster. So I'm going to go ahead and cover the top of this and keep it covered for 3 minutes. But of course, check in between, because you do not want the onions to burn. So my heat is on 3 right now, and I'm going to keep it covered for about 3 minutes. And come and check in between if you feel that it might catch, because we do not want the bottom to burn. And then once our onions are sauteed and caramelized to a golden brown, we're going to go ahead and add our tomatoes. And also the tomatoes have their own natural color, so it will give you your sauce that beautiful golden color. But if you still think that you want a bit more color, you can add half a tablespoon of tomato paste, or you could add turmeric. I try to stay away from tomato paste as much as possible. I just like natural coloring. So instead of tomato paste, I like to use turmeric. If you guys want, you could use tomato paste or turmeric. So if I feel the need, I'm going to go ahead and use like about half a tablespoon of turmeric to add color after I see how the tomatoes caramelize with the onions. So guys, I've come and checked on the onions after 3 minutes. The bottom has not catched, because the water from the onions is coming out as it's caramelizing, and it's becoming this beautiful golden brown. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it covered for another 3 minutes. Hopefully that should speed up the process of it cooking faster and caramelizing faster, so that we can go ahead and add our tomatoes, and then we'll be halfway done guys. So guys, at this point it's starting to catch a little, so I'm gonna go ahead and add my tomatoes, because this is the right time to get them to caramelize together perfectly. So guys, I've gone ahead and added in the tomatoes, and at this point I put the heat back to 3, because I do not want the bottom to catch. I want the onions to caramelize and continue to caramelize perfectly with the tomatoes. And I'm gonna go ahead and cover the top again. Covering the top is the easiest and the fastest way to get the onion and the tomatoes to caramelize together and to not burn, and for the bottoms not to catch, and for the juices to remain in the onion and the tomatoes together, so that it creates that nice sauce for us to put our eggplants in. So I'm going to go ahead, have the heat on 3, and let it simmer for 5 minutes. Come check in between as needed so that it does not burn. And then we should probably be done. If you think that it's still too hard or not saucy enough, you could leave it for longer to the desired sauciness that you like. But usually 5 to 7 or maximum 10 minutes at heat 3 will give you that nice saucy consistency. So I'm gonna go ahead and let the onions and the tomatoes simmer together and get the tomatoes to get cooking, so that we can create the sauce base for our eggplants. So guys, it was about 3 minutes. I just came to check and make sure that it's not burning, and to also go ahead and mix it really thoroughly, so that the sauce that's in the bottom comes on top and the top goes to the bottom, so that they all cook evenly. And it's starting to come to the consistency that I like and that I want for a sauce. And the color is really beautiful, so I'm not going to add any turmeric or tomato paste, but you guys could use both or either or if you feel the need to do so, but I'm not going to do it at this time. And right now I'm going to cover the top and leave it for another 3 to 5 minutes, and probably that should get us ready to go ahead and put the eggplants in, guys. And I'm going to go ahead and put the heat to 2 right now, because it's pretty caramelized and it's very watery and saucy, so I do not want the water to dry out or evaporate because of the heat. So I've put the heat to 2, and we're gonna see after 5 minutes if we're ready to go ahead and add the eggplants. So guys, it's been 5 minutes, so I'm gonna check, and yeah, this is delicious, this is beautiful. So I'm gonna go ahead at this point and add in my eggplants. Just gonna slide them in, and what we're gonna do is just mix it well. Make sure that the sauce comes on top, it's evenly distributed all over the pan. And so I have mixed it in. I'm going to put the heat even lower to simmer for 5 minutes, and then that should have cooked our eggplants thoroughly and enough for us to go ahead and enjoy it. But if you think that it needs more time, or the eggplant looks a bit hard, you can definitely add more time to its simmering, but usually 5 to 7 minutes does it. So I'm gonna go ahead, I put the heat on simmer, I'm gonna keep the top covered for 5 minutes, and then come and check, and if it is ready, then I will go and serve it. And of course, make sure that you guys have also checked the salt until this point, so that it is to your desired taste. If it needs a bit more, this is the time where you can add a bit salt to it. And right now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to make that yogurt sauce while this is simmering. So guys, this is my own homemade yogurt. I will share a video of how I make it. I use 3% milk, and I use 3% milk, and I use 3% yogurt for the first time to get the yeast from the yogurt. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some in this other yogurt tub, and I'm gonna try to get the water too, so that instead of adding outside water, we can use yogurt's natural water. And making the sauce really depends on how much you think you need for the amount of curry that you're making, or korma that you're making. So I am saying that this is 3, so I'm gonna use 1 more full spoon, and then that should be enough. So guys, here it is. You could use a whisk if you like. I just use a big spoon or a fork and just really mix it in together. And what I'm going to do is, this is my dried mint leaves, so I'm just gonna sprinkle some in there, like about half a tablespoon, and sprinkle some salt. So half a tablespoon of salt and half a tablespoon of dried mint leaves, and we're gonna just mix it in really well. And if you think it needs a bit more water, because we want it to be this like creamy consistency, but also not too watery, okay, and not too hard. Just mixing it in, and we can add a bit more water. So guys, I've added in this tablespoon water, and this is the consistency that we want. Okay, so that's done. That's it. It's simple. My eggplant is simmering beautifully, so I'm gonna go ahead and just check on it. Just mix it around a little so that it doesn't catch, so that it doesn't burn, so that everything cooks evenly. And then we're gonna cover it for another 3 minutes, and we should be good to go ahead and serve. So I'm gonna go ahead and cover it and let it simmer, and then we're gonna serve it and enjoy.